So check this out. I just found a wireless follow focus that's easy, reliable, affordable, and more importantly, it fits all in the palm of your hand. If you're doing any kind of shooting, you will quickly discover on your modern cameras today that while the autofocus on them is incredible and extremely, extremely useful, there are times when no matter how good your system is, you are not going to get what you need with the autofocus system. And that's when you need to rely on the tried and true practices of manual focus to get the shots that you need. And this really brings up some interesting issues. There have been some incredible technological leaps lately in follow focus rigs you can get for your cameras. Now, I have invested a lot in the past on wireless follow focus systems, and one thing I often find myself butting up against is the fact that if I don't have a big crew and a lot of time, I'm always running into keeping the thing in a box, in a bag, because it takes too long to set up, which defeats the whole purpose of having a system like that in the first place. And when I'm shooting, I want to go fast. I don't want to spend a lot of time setting up, and I don't want to have cables and everything getting in my way. I want to be as streamlined as possible. And that's really where this comes in. This is the PDMovie LIVE AIR 2S. And this thing, I will be honest, to spoil the review here, I am blown away by this little device. This is truly a leap through in technology as far as I can see. I've never actually come up through a follow focus that works quite like this. Now, full disclosure, PDMovie did send me a unit of this to review. I'm not being paid anything from this, and they do not see anything I published before I do it. They literally asked me to test it out for a few weeks and let them know what I think, and that's what this is. Okay, so that really brings us here to the PDMovie LIVE AIR 2S. And the first thing I want to point out is this. This is the package. And when I say this is the package, this is literally everything you need to go from 0 to 100 if you want to do wireless focus. Everything in this case, you get a wireless controller, motor, cables, batteries, a 15mm rod, a rubber ring if you have a non-cine lens, cold shoe clamp, a multifunction clamp, charger, and batteries. So what that means is if you've never ever had anything whatsoever in this world of follow focus, you know in this one case, this can get you up going 100%, which I think is awesome because I know I've bought a lot of gear in the past, especially wireless follow focus systems. I would get it, and I was always wondering, do I have everything to make this work? Am I gonna be in a situation where it doesn't work? What I love about this is it gives you everything. So if you're someone that's sort of been dabbling about, man, I don't know if I wanna do this, there's things about follow focus systems that I'm not sure about or confuse me, I think this is a great system to get into because it literally has everything you need, and you don't have to worry about forgetting something. You know if you get it, you're gonna be able to rock and roll. Now, I wanted to start off talking about this. This is a cold shoe clamp that comes inside the case, and it's a really, really great design. You can see here, it's got a thumb screw here on the top, and it goes right in my cold shoe, and it's got a place here for my rod so I can go. So as you can see, I can literally just take this and slip it right here on, and I've got a rod mount. And in the case, there's also a 15mm rod. So literally, as you can see, I can slip that right on here. Really locks on there well. You can really tighten it. So as you can see right there, we have our rod ready to go. Everything is in great shape. And now we can put our follow focus motor on the thing and get ready to go. And now that leads us to the motor. And this is the focus wheel motor right here. And as you can see, it's a really well designed, it's really well constructed, super robust. I mean, it's a nice metal design and it's light. It's only 100 grams, so it's very, very light. Now, as you can see here, it's actually got a battery that you can slip in. And I love this because you can literally take the battery, slip it in, and once you slip it in, you'll see the light come on right here, and that lets you know that it is ready to roll. Now you can see it blinking, that means it's looking for the controller. It's Bluetooth. These things hook up Bluetooth, so we'll hook up the controller and show that in a second. Now, when I get ready to clamp it on here, literally, I can just take the included 15mm rod. This thing does have motor gears that are the standard 0.8 mod, but you can get different sizes if you need them. I just lock that sucker in, and there you go. I am ready to go. There's only one button on the top, and that is how you control this system. It's a pretty minimalist design, and one thing that is important to note is well, you can push the button to do different things. You can push it 1, and then a long to do an auto control. You can manually control this. You can actually set this motor to be a zoom focus with different things. You can switch the directions of it, and it's all done here with this button. And one thing to note here is on the back here, you will see on the motor that it lets you know what each of these little functions you need to do, how many times you need to push the button. Not the most intuitive design, but they did do a good job of making sure that when you're out in the field, you don't have to remember how many button pushes you have to do. You can always reference it right here on the motor, which actually is very, very, very appreciated. And one thing you need to know about this motor that I need to make sure you know is the fact that the motor does not have an on-off switch. You pull the battery in and out to cut it on and off. A little bit of an issue, but not that bad. It's not that annoying. You can kind of pull it halfway out and be good to go, but it is something to know. Now, the motor's all set and good, but that's a pretty standard thing. I want to talk about this. This is the actual focus wheel, and this is what I consider the most ingenious part of this system. First off, you need to look at just how small this thing is. I mean, it literally is not much bigger than a quarter. And in case you're wondering, I'm going to pop this out just so you can look at it. There's actually a battery inside this. This is rechargeable as well. This comes with 2 batteries as well. It's actually got a USB micro in there that you charge it with, and it lasts a really long time, but you just pop it up, put the battery in there, and it's got a battery, so it's very, very good. And what's great, it's got a 1/4-inch screw on this thing, so you can literally put this anywhere that you need to on your system. You can literally dial it up right there, and you're good to go. So once I dial it in, it's pretty good. And as you can see, if I hit the button, I'll cut it on. Now, once I cut it on, you will see it blinking here for a couple seconds, and then what will happen, it will pair up, and then it will go solid once it is paired up with the motor. Now, generally, they say what you should do is make sure that you actually cut on your controller first, and then put your battery into the motor. But the good news is the Bluetooth communicates so well, and once I do that, we are basically paired and ready to go. Now, when I want to calibrate it, it's pretty easy. I can either do this manually by moving my ring all the way to the stop and end and then coming back a little bit, but I have a CP3 here from Zeiss that has hard stops in it, so I can actually do this in auto calibration, which I actually prefer just to get it in there. And it's pretty simple. All I got to do, I can either hit my button on the top here, 1 pop and then a long, or I can do it on the motor. It's the same movement each place. You just got to decide what you want to do. And as you can see, I can do it, and there you can watch. It'll go through the whole thing, and then it'll pop through again, and we're good to go. And now that we're there, we can see how I can now control my entire focus, super, super easy, right here from my rig. And what I love about this system is this. I can pop this off, and check this out. If I want to move my follow focus, I can move it literally anywhere that I want to on my system. I really like it over here on the thumb, so you can see now I have this smooth, put that in there all the way, I have this super smooth thumb control that I can get very, very easy right here on my rig. Makes my life so much easier. And I can use things like this multi-function clamp, and I can really put this anywhere. I love this. It's got lots of things. So let's say for some reason I wanted to have it on this side of the camera. I can put this on any kind of rod system that I want. I can just literally dial this in. You can see that little multi-function clamp there. I can pop this back here, and I can bring it over here maybe. I'll put it right here, and boom. You can see just how fast you can change the configurations of this to get what you want. Now, as you can see, once again, I can easily get this thing to get what I want as I go. And I think what's great about this is you just got to find the area how you really like to do this. I really love having it up here on my thumb dial, and I love how I can just pick this up. This whole unit is super, super contained. You can see if I hold it in my hands like this, it's just very, very contained, and now I have a whole system ready to go, no problem, and I can just get it, boom, go, rock and roll, super easy, super fast system, and I've got a cinema lens in a run and gun format with a very, very smooth follow focus. But the good thing about this, if you know anything about a follow focus system, it's not just about yourself. Sometimes you may need to have someone helping you out. And this is what is super cool too. you actually get this little remote controller that comes with the rig. Now check this out. If I pop out my follow focus, I can take this and actually pop it right in here. I'm gonna pop it in there, do that, and I'm gonna tighten it up. And then once I tighten it up, you can see the controller is right inside there. And what's great is now I have a nice controller here that I can have a first AC or someone else follow focus from me. And what I like about this bigger control wheel gives you just a little more, if you need that extra level of precision and control, you can be good. And if you look here, it's actually got 1/4" screws all on the top and the sides there and on the bottom. So you can actually attach a monitor to this and have a monitor or wireless thing ready to go right there on the system. And it's super, super easy. And what's great, when it's all said and done, if I want to get this back, I can literally loosen this thing back up. And check this out. I can pop this back up, put it right back on my camera because maybe I want to be a little more run and gun. And then we're back to cooking with gas. And now I've got it ready to go right here on my camera. So as you can see, this is just a really, really cool way to work a wireless remote system. I've never actually had anyone, I've never seen anything quite this ingenious as how it's done. And it's just really, really nice. And it encourages you to do this because of how innovative the design is and how nice and easy you don't have to think about it, which is for me is a big, big thing. Now, a couple other notes to know about this if you are interested. It doesn't just serve as a focus motor. You can actually go on here and recalibrate this both to go in a different direction, but more importantly, you can recalibrate this as a zoom motor and control this as a zoom. And you can also set these things up so you can have more than one. You could actually have one of these dedicated to focus and another one on here dedicated to zooms if that's something that you need. These by themselves are about 150 bucks a pop, so they're not very expensive to get them and daisy chaining them together to really give you a lot of creative freedom in what you need to do. Also, one other thing that it does do, this does come with an app, a remote air app, that allows you to control this through the remote air app. Now, that being said, the remote air app, I still think it needs a little bit of work. I actually could not get it to connect to here, but once you do it, you can control the follow focus through the app and all these zooms and all that stuff, and gives you a lot of great things because you can actually, in addition to that, set A and B points and stuff like that. That's going to be much, much more intuitive and easier to do on your app than it is going to be on the actual thing itself. But another cool thing, hopefully that'll be updated with some firmware updates so the app gets a little more functional. It's there, it's just a little funky right now from what I could tell. Okay, so let's talk about the cons of this system. I mean, this is a really awesome little system, and I really don't have that much to gripe about it. I think most of the things are pretty small just because it's so innovative. But I really think if there are any kind of gripes about it, the first thing would be, it would be nice if there was a power button on this motor. I mean, it's not that hard to pull the battery in and out, but it just seems like one of those things, it'd be great to have a power button to have on there. The other thing is that I do like the minimalism of it. I do like how the button push system is so simple with one button, but it's not very intuitive. So you need to make sure that you reference the chart, and the chart is both here on the motor, like I said, and it's actually here on the back of the unit, the wireless unit as well, so you can get those things there. So you do have access to it wherever you are in the field, but it's just not intuitive. You've got to get used to it. You're not just going to pick this thing up and know that I got to push the thing 7 times to reverse the direction of the follow focus. But that being said, I think they sacrificed a screen or something in the spirit of minimalism, and they did a great job as far as keeping this thing really stripped down and ready to go. The other thing that I think is a bit of a weakness that I find a little bit of a bummer is this control wheel. It is powered. You have to power it every time you go, and it has a USB micro port and not a USB-C, which is a little bit of a bummer because now everything is using USB-C. So you just got to make sure you have the USB micro that comes in the case, and you got to make sure you have it with you so you can charge this thing in between sets. And really the only other thing that I would say could be a tiny bit of a con is if you put this thing on here and you do a really quick focus counterclockwise, because it is secured with this, it can kind of get loose. So not a terrible thing, but just be aware if you want to do any fast spins or anything, just be aware that you could loosen this. So just make sure the thing's on there really well and control your speed of the motion. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this system. It is a really, really cool system. I'll be honest, this is probably one of my favorite things I've come across in the last few years, just because it's so innovative. And I think, honestly, this really encourages me to get a follow focus system out of my bag, to use it more. And more importantly, it's just so self-contained, knowing everything's in this one little case. I know I can throw it in a camera bag and have it with me. And if you're out there thinking about diving into wireless follow focus systems and seeing just the benefits of it, because there really are huge benefits when you're out in a field, not having to worry about focus and letting someone else worry about it sometimes, to be able to hand this off. It's so huge. I think for $289, this is a great system to really look into. Anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Please leave me any comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, go out there, keep on shooting, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon.